Good evening, Clayton. My name is Maria Cantu. I love your show. You guys are great. I had a question. I'm wondering if I should sell my home, or I'm sorry, actually, turn it into a 1031 exchange. My house currently is valued at 254. I owe 104 on the property. Please let me know. Maria. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maria. Great question. A 1031 exchange. We have, we have a lot of great resources here on the channel about 1031 exchanges. We've interviewed a lot of great experts here on 1031 exchanges. But let me just give you I'll take it right from the IRS's website. That I have in my notes here, and I'm going to read it verbatim so there's no confusion. Actually, I'll read it, which is probably confusing, from the IRS's website, and then I will parse it out. Under Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code, like-kind exchanges are when you exchange real property used for business or held as an investment solely for other business or investment property that is the same type or like kind. So you've been able to do this since 1921. You cannot downsize. You can only exchange for the same size or better. That means maybe you have $1 million property in California and you sell it and you want to turn that $1 million investment property because the ROI is awful in California. So now you want to buy 10 single family homes with that $1 million, And so that would be a like in kind. You're basically, now you're going to have a much greater bang for your buck because 10 properties producing cash flow instead of that one overly priced, low ROI, low return on investment property in California, as an example. So it sounds like you have some equity in this property. I would say, I think you should absolutely take advantage of the 1031 exchange if it makes sense for you from an accounting perspective. Not always does this work out and make sense. So you want to basically understand, first of all, the eligibility of this property. You have to make sure that when you are making a purchase, it's got to be either the same or better than what you're currently selling as an investment. And you also have to initiate and go through the 1031 exchange process ahead of time. This is not something that you can do in arrears. You can't make this purchase and do this closing on a property because you're not allowed to touch the money at all. It has to go through a custodian in the 1031 exchange process. You cannot be involved in pocketing any of the profits and proceeds. Otherwise, sorry, that's a failure. It has to go through the 1031 exchange process. If you do not follow the 1031 exchange process to the letter, you'll be liable for capital gains taxes, bottom line. So they have a very strict timeline that you need to follow. And I'm going to go through those timelines here because they can be a little confusing. And it's important to think about the time that it takes for you to find a new property. Remember, you have 45 days to identify that property. So you need to plan ahead. Because the IRS, it's kind of crazy, but they only allow you 45 days to identify a replacement property after or when you're going through that process for one that was already sold. But in order to get the best price on a replacement property, experienced real estate investors don't wait until the property has been sold before they start hunting for another property. You have 45 days. That's a short window of after you've sold this investment property to find another one. You better have this one lined up ahead of time. And then I want you want to time the sale of that home. So again, I come back to the properties that we sell at Morris Invest. We work with a lot of we have a 1031 exchange program at our company. So we work with a lot of investors who use the 1031 exchange to sell an overpriced or bad property and then roll that property into a brand new investment property. So you have a 180-day window to purchase a replacement property after you have identified it. But you have to identify it. And that's where new construction really is powerful because we know when those properties are coming off the finish line. We know when we'll be able to close on that new construction property. And so we know that within that 180 days that you can close on it. We have a date, we have a closing date, and you can plan on that. That's very, very important. And then also you've identified the property very quickly through our 1031 exchange program, so you don't have to worry about that 45-day window. So absolutely, I would just consult with your accountant and make sure that the numbers make sense. Doing a 1031 exchange because you don't want to pay capital gains, it just might not make sense. It might be a lot of extra headache and pain for you if it doesn't make sense. There have been times when we've done a 1031 exchange, and then there have been other times where it just didn't make sense from a tax perspective for us to do it. So think about those things when you are going to explore a 1031 exchange. Definitely talk with your accountant. They know your personal finances better than I do. I am not an accountant. Okay. This is not financial advice. Simply my advice to you is to speak with an accountant based on those tax ramifications and if it makes sense for you to file the paperwork on a 1031 exchange. But just remember, you have 45 days to identify a replacement property, and then you have 180 days to actually close on that particular property. But all of that must be identified and handed over to the government, because after all, you're not allowed to touch these profits and proceeds. And if you do, you're going to pay capital gains taxes on it. But I would have you go over to our website at Morris Invest, because we've got a lot of 1031 exchange blog posts and resources for you. Maria, go check it out at morrisinvest.com. All right, everyone. Here at morrisinvest.com, there's a little microphone tab. Click on that, and you can leave us a 30-second voicemail question about anything that you have on your mind. Real estate related, equity, taxes, 1031 exchanges, all of those things, we will attempt to answer it here. All right, until next time, everyone, go out there, become a real estate investor. I believe it's the number one way to build wealth. Don't waste any more time. If you've been wasting time, get started in the year 2022 to really make a change in your life. All right, we'll see you next time, everyone.